Alright guys, welcome back to another episode of the Leveling Up series. I'm a bit sick today, so bear with me, but today we'll be talking about story pointing. And there's a few mistakes that I see people make time and time again, particularly juniors when they first join or as their first project. So let's get into it, right? So when you're story pointing or you're evaluating like a particular story that's come up, you want to consider not just the time and effort that will take for you to implement that particular story, but also, look out for possible unknowns. Now, if this is your first project, you probably won't be aware that you're likely to come up with a few challenges, right? The first thing is, you have to realize that you're working with a really big, or large mammoth size sort of code base, right? So if you're making any changes or adding new features, that will likely have some sort of knock-on effect to something else. Or, maybe first time you're implementing something might not be the best solution. You might need to spend a little bit of time refactoring, right? So let's consider, you've got a particular feature that you need to build. Do you think it will take, yourself 8 hours or something like that? With that, you need to factor in maybe, spending a little bit of time doing documentation, maybe a little bit of time refactoring what you've done as well, and then maybe fixing one or two issues that might have had a knock-on effect of you implementing that solution, right? So you need to take all of those into account, plus any potential unknowns as well. So let me tell you something, right? If you think that you can implement something really, really quickly, and you'll give, your story points, based on that, there's a chance in sort of 9 times out of 10 there will be an unknown issue that you weren't aware of that will come up. So you need to add that buffer time for you to be able to then solve that. It's better to add that additional buffer when you are story pointing, as opposed to, being in a state where you might overrun or you might need to require extra time, because it's more difficult to have that conversation later on saying, I've overrun, or, these things came up and, I didn't account for them, as opposed to, story pointing effectively as you would as a senior, saying that I've, added X amount extra. You wouldn't say that you've added X amount extra time, but, just for yourself to understand that, you add that buffer period so that you can deal with the unknown that might occur. You won't know everything. You might do, obviously, if you've been there for quite some time, but still, challenges do occur. So make sure that you're story pointing effectively, and just making sure that you add that bit extra time so that you can handle any sort of challenges that might come up. That will definitely help you out in your career. I've learned that mistake the hard way. So learn from the mistakes that I've made and don't make that mistake yourself. But I feel like it's kind of a rite of passage at this point. So hopefully that helps. But yeah, that's all for today.